Now we're going to take a look at the pave along UV. I'm going to find over here real quick a uh, plane. I'm going to just draw a rectangular plane right here, and I'm going to change this to the shaded mode. And here we can see these two black isocurves here that go, one goes across, the other one goes up and down. These are the two isocurves in two different directions, U and V, of this surface. Every surface in Rhino has a U and a V direction, and the pave along UV uses that to populate the surface with stones based on the UV directions. Let's take a look at the way it works. So we click, it's under here, pave aromatic, pave along UV. Here's the little option panel, very similar to the other studios. So we're going to click on select our surface, and as you can see, it immediately fills it with stones based on the parameters that are here. Don't always remember to scroll in these options. As you can see, there's a lot more things we need to look down there. Here we can change the size, so maybe like 1.6 there. We can change the gem weight or the size, or we can change the gap. If we want a bigger gap, we want a smaller gap, so maybe 0.3. Remember the gem compound for weight calculations later. Now notice that we can choose in which direction to start the pave. So it's using U and this point, or V. In this case, there's really no difference because this is a perfect rectangular shape. So there really isn't no sense on which direction it goes. Now notice the stones goes from the very edge to the very edge. So right here we have the option to change that. So maybe I can do 0.3 and 0.3 to keep the gap also at the edges. So as you can see, we got that gap. We're maintaining that gap all the way around. You can make that as big as you want. Another really nice advantage is maybe you don't want the pave on the whole surface. Maybe we only want pave in one section here. So if I create a region, maybe right here, I can then click here and then pick, and then it's only going to do the pave inside that region. And here we can work either U or V. In this case, I'm going to change it so that it adjusts, since it's much longer than it is wider. So it reads the V, and we can change the gap back to 0.3 on bolts. Maybe right around there. So as you can see, you can create a region or do the pave on the whole surface. Now I'm going to delete the region because I don't want it. So I'm going to click there, and it's gone there. And we can get rid of that curve. And as you can see, very simple, right? So this is a very simple surface. Now let me quickly get rid of this surface, and let me change views over here. Maybe in front view here. Now let's take a look at a little bit more advanced option of the UV pave. So we'll go ahead, and I'm going to draw maybe something over here. Something like so, and I'm going to use revolve, full circle. Here we go, and I have this weird shape over here. I'm going to go ahead and delete the original line, which I no longer need, and let me zoom to that selection. There it is, and I'll go to jewelry and activate the UV. I'll select this surface now, and as you can see, it's putting the pave perfectly around, all the way around this object. very evenly. And the most important thing to watch for also is, notice the speed. I can change in real time. I can actually see what's happening here. Change my stone sizes, and I can see it update right in front of me. I don't have to wait. I can change the gap, maybe a little bit bigger. Maybe I want a gap on the edge, so I can go down here and fine. There we go. Give myself a little bit of a gap, maybe 0.3 from the edge. There we go. Notice that there's no other gap anywhere else. If I put a gap on this one here, then I'm splitting them apart over here, where the seam of the surface is. But in this case, I do not want that, so I can leave that at 0. So we get a very nice clean pave. Now let me cancel out of this one real quick. I'm going to delete this object and maybe go in here and do a torus, just to give you another sample. Here we have a full, complete, solid torus. We can go back over there, UV. We can select our surface, and there is our pave, very nice and even. We can change our sizes, maybe 2 millimeter. The gap 0.3. So it works real fast and really quick, because it's only looking at the UV space in the surface. It's not basing itself on anything else. So it's very easy to distribute the stones based on the U and V directions and space of the surface. Now let's take a look at the same command, but with something a little bit more complex, a little more interesting shape. So let's cancel this. Let's get rid of this guy here, and let me show some objects that I have hidden here. And here we're going to see some of the options a little bit clearer. Notice that these started out as two very identical type of objects, but this one has been modified slightly. I show the control points and I scale them to the side, forming a bigger top section over here. So what I'm going to do now is use the UV, and I'm going to start with this guy here, which is not much anything, because everything is all even and straight. We can change here maybe to 2 millimeters. Too big. Let's go with 1.75, something like this, and I can increase the gap if I want to, or reduce it. I can change the gap from the edge, 0.2. So there we have the gap on the edge, just like we have between the stones. And notice that in this case, changing U and V doesn't do much, but notice that they do overlap down there. So you want to, in this case, if you change to V, then we have to put this distance at 0, so that that distance does not separate. And now we would have to then change this distance. Now let's see what happens when we change, and let's put everything back to 0, to the original form. And then let's pick the other surface. Now let's select and pick this one over here. And it distributes the stones, but the first thing we see is obviously they're overlapping, because it's reading the direction across. So obviously when it puts all of these up here, they don't fit on here. We needed to read, along the shape. So we're going to change from U to V. And as you can see, as soon as we do that, everything changes. So now everything fits really nice and even, and we can go and put in whichever changes we need to do. So now, not that one, this one here, we can adjust if we need to. 2.2. We can change the size of our stones if we need to, maybe 1.65, a little bit smaller, a little bit of a better fit there. We can change the gap. We can do anything. So as you can see, it gives us, many different options based on the UV space of the surface. And obviously now, once we click OK, we would get, we get our pave right on there.